So one of the things that I know is that you do a one-day training for teams on how to apply Kanban, and that, like it might be one team comes to the training together, it might be several teams coming together to the training, and that especially for teams working in a scaled agile environment, this can be extremely valuable. So what are some of the things that teams attending this training would learn?
So the team Kanban practitioner focus on the team and support the team with the practices, method, exercise so they can feel able and capable of using Kanban methods in your daily activities. How does this work? We start with an introduction of what Kanban is, is the method, what are the principles and practices. We then jump into some examples. And after those examples, we start discussing real situations where the team has some challenges and some opportunities to work. After that, to create even better synergy across the team, we do some simulation exercise. So the team starts learning how to best run a Kanban board and how to best take advantage of the practices and principles they have just learned. Now, this is all theory, but like riding a bike, we then go to a moment that the team start creating a board and using all the learning to simulate real life. So this is one of the benefits of doing this for your entire team. So the team is going to be there discussing real case situations. So they're going to come back to work with the knowledge, with the skill, and able to perform and run in the very next day. Now, like riding a bike, you as much as you practice, the better it will be. So the more they practice, and I hope they practice from the very next day, they will become experts and start getting more and more work done. So at the end of the first, second, third week, you're going to see some greater results because they are going to know how to remove obstacles, address uh, dependencies, remove some challenges, and make things visible to the team, others in the organization.
Yeah, I think that idea of making things visible is so key. It's really a principle of most agile approaches to work is that, that transparency and that openness is what allows you to actually make improvements. So if people attending the leading safe training who are typically managers, maybe coaches, are thinking about, what's the best way to get started and launching teams, one of the things I want to share from my own experience is that I have trained tens of thousands of people. I've worked with hundreds of teams over the years. And I would say that about 95%, so 19 out of 20 teams that I work with, shouldn't be doing Scrum. They should actually be using Kanban. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but probably the biggest one is that in most environments, the team actually needs a continuous flow of work and they're delivering a service to other teams or other parts of the organization. And they're not really working independently on their own little thing. And so Scrum is good for that independent kind of work, but when there's dependencies, when there's services, and especially in scaled agile, that's like almost everything. I really believe strongly that having your teams learn Kanban and apply Kanban within a safe environment is going to be much, much more effective. It's going to improve productivity. It's going to improve team satisfaction and engagement. And really getting your teams into this team Kanban practitioner training is really a great start. Now, that said, there's more to Kanban, right? Like one day of training does not cover everything in Kanban. What are some sort of more advanced ideas that might be, missed in the team Kanban training, but are things that the leaders in an organization should be maybe thinking about and watching out for?
If you're taking a leading safe training, for example, you don't necessarily have to attend a team Kanban practitioner unless you are part of a team that is performing some kind of work. Now, think like how to execute and get the work done, especially for teams. TKP is the best recommendation. If you are leading the program, if you are leading a team, as Mishkin said, there's more advanced trainings like the Kanban system design and Kanban systems improvement. So that gives you the credential of becoming a Kanban management practitioner, but also gives you the ability to design the Kanban methods and systems for every part of the organization. So once it is in place, you know the techniques, you're going to learn the metrics, you're going to learn the practice principles, all the techniques, so you can lead others through this transformation to poor performance to great performance. Now, once that is done, you can then prepare yourself to keep improving the system as you go. So the Kanban system improvements, which would be the next level, it is the moment for you to learn new practices and learn new ceremonies and find better ways to increase the maturity level of what you currently have. So instead of just working for a local team, you can engage different departments in the organization, different and multiple initiatives. You can start working a portfolio Kanban. So those would be more advanced elements that would be shared in a Kanban system improvement.
Yeah, and as a SAFe certified individual myself, a SAFe program consultant, I know that in the SAFe environment, Kanban is mentioned, but unfortunately, like a lot of the really powerful ideas in Kanban are not really addressed directly in the SAFe training and materials. So, for example, David mentioned portfolio Kanban. SAFe has that, but it doesn't say much about how to implement it, how to do it, how to measure it, how to improve it. And again, the Kanban method training that David does is incredibly valuable for that. Now, just a couple things to kind of wrap up. SAFe is this kind of super popular method right now. And many enterprise organizations are adopting SAFe, and they're always customizing it. One of my clients right now, it's a big automotive company, and they're doing a kind of massive customization of SAFe because, even though SAFe is pretty good as it is, it doesn't quite fit. How does Kanban work in terms of customization? I know it has actually kind of different perspective on this, right? So what is Kanban like? I think you mentioned earlier just like visualizing what you're currently doing. And I know that's kind of a different approach. So say more about how you would, adopt Kanban or implement Kanban.
So uh, I think a good analogy, as I was saying, is think like safe as the rules of and the rules of the speed you have to go, the lane that you have to follow, you're going to be there. But safe's not teaching you how to drive a car. With Kanban, you're going to teach you how to drive a car. You're going to have different types of cars. And in the trainings, we learn for different processes, we may have a few things in place or not. So some policies might be more applicable to some policies. Some metrics might be used for some types of projects. A board cannot just be copied and pasted or duplicated to another process, and you would expect that that would work well. So every case is unique. Although there are some standards, people start understanding what is the method and know how to execute that well. So once they know what are the steps, what is the workflow, what is the capacity and the ceremonies when they will happen, so Kanban start becoming something very customized to that team and that organization. And the beauty of this is Kanban allows it's very flexible to the organization needs. So you don't have to change the way you request work, but you're just going to improve the way you get the work done. That's the beauty here. And it's an evolutionary process. So
Ah,
and start with what you have right now. You don't have to reset or change. No, what you have is good enough to start. And as we go, we start adding elements that will bring a positive impact in the current result of your team.
I love that phrase. It's evolutionary. A lot of organizations, they look at SAFe, they see how complicated it is. They spend a lot of money on training and coaching and consulting, and then they put it on the organization. Plop. Here's SAFe. Go do it. And that can cause a lot of disruption. It's often a huge mess, especially at first. And yeah, the teams and the organization might adjust and adapt, but the idea of an evolutionary process is it's much more gentle, actually. So when an organization adopts Kanban, and whether that's in SAFe or in combination with Scrum, or if they're not doing any agile at all, adopting Kanban is much more gentle and more gradual, which I think is really an amazing aspect of Kanban. Yeah, you still might need to do some training, you might do a little bit of coaching, but because it's evolutionary, it's much easier to get started.